Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Behind me, 2007 Ford Freestar, we're gonna be replacing the lower intake manifold gasket. Let's get started. To get started, we're gonna remove our plastic cowl. That'll open up all this space back here. To get our wiper arms off, we lift up on this cover, just like that. It reveals a 15 millimeter nut. We'll do that to this other side too. Just pop up on it, there we go. Wiggle these off. Let me lower the hood real quick. See if that'll help us. There we go. When they're up in this position here, you can kind of wiggle on it like that, and it'll pop off. Now we have a series of clips. There are little Phillips. You turn the Phillips, the clip will start unscrewing, and you can pop off. Let me show you real quick. Here's a little Phillips head. That goes right inside here. So as you back that loose, you get some height on it, and then you can just pop that little clip out. Do that to all of them. That frees up the front here. Now in the back, it's just held on with clips. So we can pull, find a place by the window, maybe start on one corner, pull up. There we go, let's keep pulling. This whole top piece just slide out. There are two hoses for our windshield washer fluid. I didn't show, but those just get popped off. And now we're gonna work on our lower cowl. For that, we'll need an 8 millimeter socket. There are 10 millimeters over here. That's holding on our windshield wiper motor and transmission and all that. Leave those connected. So there are two different sizes, long ones and short ones. So we'll note where they go. The long ones go in the middle. There should be a total of 4 short ones, 2 on that end and 2 on this end. Pull up, and on this side there should be, right here, just another hose for our windshield washer fluid. We'll pop that off. There we go. That's it over here. We'll go to the other side. There will be an electrical connector for our wiper motor. And we can just look behind. It's just a regular pinch and pull. Now this can all get set aside. Nice, that opens up a lot of room. So there's a few different ways we can attack this, but let's start on this side and just work our way over. Pull off any electrical connectors, pinch and pull. Looks like this whole harness can get pulled away. There we go. Get some vacuum lines here. Pop those off. Let me get a screwdriver. I'm just looking at our EGR, wondering how we want to tackle that. So there's 2 10 millimeter bolts in the front. I'll get a larger ratchet with some more torque. There we go. Crack the other one loose. There's this little metal gasket we'll put back, but this is free. You can undo this hose here. Looks like this one has 2 clamps. Oh, that's interesting. So both clamps are actually attached to each other. I don't know if I've seen that before. Okay, that's it. We'll pull our throttle cables off. They just come out like that, so bring the throttle your way, and the cable just comes right off, and then back on like that. When you're here, you'll see it, but you just pull on the cable to give yourself some slack, bring all that slack away from you, and then that little stud ball thing, I don't know what it's called, but that comes right out. And then on this end, you just push it away from you, and it comes unconnected. To get it out of our slot, we'll pinch on the front, get a pair of pliers. There's 2 little tabs, you just pinch in, and then you can pull it out. Just like that, and the other one. You can disconnect our boot, 8 millimeter. You can use a Phillips too for that if that's what you have. Okay, that separates. I wanna say that is it. There's a little harness down below, you'll see it. Just like how this one popped away, that one down below pops away the exact same. There. Okay, we are free from here. We got our spark plug wires. Before we pull those off, I wanna mark them. So I'm just gonna follow it here, the far front one. I'm gonna mark that is actually this. I'm gonna mark it with a 1 dot. The middle one is this far one here. I'm gonna mark that with 2 dots. And then the last one is the middle. Mark that with 3 dots. And we can remove our spark plug wires. Coming in on the side, you can get to this one. They give you just enough room. Come on, there we go. And then this one here, just kind of got to get your hand in there. It's kind of awkward, but just twist and pull. Got it. Okay, we can pull these up. Let me just take a flat screwdriver, see which side opens up. This side here, just put it in there, twist out, and it opens up. We'll do that with all of these. So it looks like this one can just stay, so we'll close that back up. Slip this over. On this side, we'll remove this hose. Once I get this off, I'll show you the connector. Pretty simple. So it's this little green connector here. You pull it in and then to the side. You can see it open up like that. Then it just twists right off. There's an electrical connector on this side. We don't have to unplug it, but we do want to separate it from the manifold. So for that, we just want to take the whole thing and slide it towards the car, and it comes off of that little harness retainer. There, just like that. And then this here just comes off. Having a pair of pliers like this can help. Just get back behind there, pull out. There we go. Okay, there's one here. You can also use a screwdriver if that works for you. This actually isn't working. Another thing you can do if you can't get it off, just take a flat screwdriver and just pop that little retainer and just kind of break it off. There we go. It's not ideal, but that way we can just zip tie it when we're all finished. We'll get these two hoses. These things can just be pushed out of the way. Let me move you just a little, you get a better view. I'm gonna get this out of the way. It might not be 100% necessary, but it'll open up a lot of space for us. We got a top bolt here, not a 10 millimeter. It's an 11 millimeter or 7/16, whichever one you have. Use a really long extension for that bottom one. Get that with a magnet. From what I could tell, this whole thing should just separate. There, nice. I like that. I think that was a good move. Okay, we are all good all the way till here. We got this, like a set of vacuum hoses. We'll pop that off. Got it, nice. We got this electrical connector. It is connected right here. So maybe we can pull up on that. Let me get my screwdriver. There we go. We got this big harness here. Let's see how that's connected. So it's connected right here to the plastic. We can just grab the whole harness, pull up, just like that. I think it's connected on this side too. Yep, right here. Pull up. That might be a little hard, so I'm gonna try these pliers. There we go. Okay, that's disconnected. I think we are just about ready. We got one more hose right here. I think for the sake of simplicity, I'm gonna disconnect it right here. So you just pinch on this connector, pull out, and that's it. Then we can just snake this whole thing underneath this harness. There. I think we have gotten everything. Now we'll take some air and just blow around. These are gonna be 8 millimeter. There's 4 on one side, 4 on the other side. See if we got it. Just gotta maneuver the EGR stuff out of the way. Perfect. Nice. We're making progress. Since I got the camera set up over here, let's go ahead and start here and work our way in that direction. There's not a whole lot more to remove. We'll get our fuel injectors unplugged. Just pinch and pull. We have our electrical connector here. Looks like actually our connectors for our injectors can probably stay in. If we disconnect this here, like that, then this whole thing is separate, which makes it nice because we have to take our fuel rail off, and then our fuel rail with the injectors can all just slough over to our airbox side. So let's do our fuel rail. So we have 2 8 millimeter bolts up front, and then 2 in the back. Now I'm gonna take a pick and right around our fuel injectors, I'm just gonna get all that dirt kind of loose. We don't want any of that inside when we pull our injectors out. So we're just gonna make sure I'm gonna vacuum all this loose debris and then we'll blow, but I'm just getting it loose. Before I blow, I'm gonna just put some rags in here so I don't get a bunch of dirt down there. Before we remove our rail, let's hop over to this side because there's a lot of coolant hoses and things we have to disconnect. So we could take our air box completely out. We have an electrical connector here for our mass airflow. It has a red tab, just push out on that tab, and then we should just pinch and pull that tab a little more. There we go. We have this hose here. It's the same as that PCV hose. You just have that little green plastic that you just push back, spread open. That'll pop off. And then this hose, just push on it, separate it. There, disconnect it here. Okay, let's switch angles. I got this whole set of coolant hoses. They look like quick connect fittings. I'm gonna use my fuel quick connector tool to see if that would work, but it's not quite deep enough. Put a catch pan underneath. Let me zoom you in. I think they are designed to pinch from this backside and have this little lock squish down so this whole plastic piece slides over it and the lock stays behind. I think that's the intention, but for some reason, when I try to do it that way, I'm unsuccessful. This little front piece, that lock over this lip, you can get some in it from the back. I was using a little flat screwdriver or a little pick to pick on it. So we can pick on this here. So whichever way works for you. Let's see if a pair of spark plug pliers work. Let's see if I even have room back here. Yeah, that did the trick. That was a lot easier. So let me show you these pliers again. They just kind of look like this. I was able to pinch on the outside of that lock tab. Let me zoom you in and show you the difference between the two. So this one, the lock tab stayed inside. This one, the lock tab stayed here. So I was able to pinch on this outside, and those pliers are shaped just the right little way that you can get both pinched in at the same time. So if you have a pair of pliers like that, they're just like this, it worked really well. All right, last hose is that fat one. Let's get a pair of pliers on it. Then I'm gonna use a pick to go in between the hose just to break it free. Let's see if that did the trick. Twist it, oh yeah, nice. Probably a lot of coolant will come out. Not too bad. Be a good opportunity to replace your thermostat as well. All right, for the rail, I got a little pry bar I'm just gonna put underneath. See if I can get a good location. Maybe right here. Now this is fuel. We wanna make sure we're wearing safety goggles. The injectors should stay connected to the rail, but just in case they decide to pop off, and we'll just put a little pressure in the upward position and then wiggle the rail. Not prying too hard. I just want the injector O-rings to break free. Let me get a smaller pry bar. Get this in the front. There we go. There's one. There, okay, this side's free. Get the other side. Okay, I think that's it. Now, let's see if we can get just this whole thing out of the way. There, we didn't even have to disconnect the fuel rail. So let's go ahead and vacuum one more time just around everything before we remove our bolts. We have two different sized bolts holding this in. Let's start with our bigger ones, 10 millimeter. Oh, those are nice. Okay, break free pretty easily. Now the manual says there are long bolts and short bolts. So far these are the same size. So that was a total of 8 bolts. Now our 8 millimeter. Those 3 are the same. So I'm wondering if all our 8 millimeters are the same and all our 10 millimeters are the same. Yep, all the 8 mils are the same. There's one more coolant hose we need to get that's attached to this right here. It looks like just an 8 millimeter bolt that holds that pipe on. Let's see if that does the trick for us. There we go. And there's just a little O-ring. We'll replace that O-ring when we put it all back together. I want to get it out all the way. There we go. So yeah, just this little O-ring here we'll replace when we put it all back together. Get our pry bar again and just pull up on it. That's it. And just straight up. There's our old gasket. Hey, nice. Let's go ahead and take a water break. When we come back, we'll clean things up and start assembling. When there's a lot of dirt and grime like this, I like cleaning with a vacuum cleaner. So we'll just go around and just vacuum up all this dirt before we wipe with a rag. When I'm cleaning out the injector ports, I'll hold the vacuum over it and then just use a little pick and lightly scrape away any buildup. We'll just do the same thing on this front side. You won't be able to see, but we're just doing the exact same thing. Then we'll take a clean rag for an initial wipe, so we won't have any solvent on this one. And this intake is just coated with sludge. Just a lot of, I don't know, can you see that? Eee. I think this vehicle takes short trips often, so it doesn't get a lot of warming up. Okay, so that's kind of the initial. Then we'll take another clean rag. This time we'll put some brake clean on it. Or your solvent of choice, carburetor cleaner, whatever. Now we'll get all of this buildup off. You shouldn't really need a scraper. It should all pretty much come off with just a rag. Also get the injector ports. Then we want to clean the sides where our side gaskets go, the front and the back. And that is going to get a little RTV, so we want to make sure that's really oil free. Just doing an initial wipe, then just the same, we'll get some brake clean on a rag. That really clean. So we're going to do the same thing on the manifold side. Just clean it off really well, clean rag, give it a good wipe. Once we have that initial wipe, take some brake clean. Clean it off real good, and if you want to wipe out all your ports and stuff, get it nice and shiny, now would be an awesome time. Again, it shouldn't need a scraper for any of this, just a good wipe. Looks pretty good. I'll do the same thing to the other side here. So you want to pay extra attention to these corners here. If there's a little RTV, we can just scrape that off with a little plastic scraper. Do that to all 4 of these corners because new RTV is going to be applied. So we just get this old stuff off. And then we'll take some brake clean. We want good adherence, so oil free. That looks really good. We are ready to install it. Let's go back to the engine. There's 4 places we need to install RTV, then we can put our gaskets on. Just an additional note, a little bit of coolant got in the top of our engine. That's pretty common when you do these intake gaskets. So we have a syringe. We're just gonna suck out as much as we can, and then we'll soak the rest up with a rag. There's not a whole lot, just a little. We'll just let the rag soak up the rest of it. We'll do an oil change after all this is completed. All right. Now applying the RTV, we want to get all the old stuff out of these corners and use brake clean. We want it completely oil free so the new RTV sticks. And then we're just going to put a dab in each of these corners. Once I'm finished, I'll show you what it looks like. Just where that seam is. If we forget this step, we can get an oil leak right out of those little seams. Let me zoom you in. So just in the corner there, just a nice dab. We want to fill that seam and then have a little bit raised up. So that's it. All 4 corners are done. Now let's put our gasket on. Just follow the shape of these side gaskets. They should just press in and kind of lock. We got this little S-shaped one over here. And for these gaskets, it says left and a right. And we'll put that on. It'll only go on one way. It has little pins that lock it in place. There we go. And we want to slide it behind our little side pieces. So if you want, you can actually put these on first and then your side pieces. Either way, kind of fits in that little spot. Just push it in, make sure it's seated. And we'll do this one. Let me show you up close those corners. So these corners here, so this big gasket slides behind this little gasket. And just do that on all 4 corners. And that's it for the gasket. Now we're ready for our manifold. We're gonna take some more RTV and just put it on the top. So that same crease, but now just on the top of the gasket. That's what's gonna adhere to our manifold. So same idea, we're just filling that little crack and giving us a little raised piece so it'll all squish when it gets tightened down. Let me zoom you in one more time, just so you can be sure to see how it works. Just a little bit of RTV on each of those corners. And when our manifold goes on, it'll just squish it all out nice and even. We're ready for our manifold, let's do it. It is important to install our manifold while the RTV is still wet. You don't want it to dry. Get under that hose. There we go. And we want it to lay as evenly as possible all at once. Try to line up the bolt holes the best we can. There we go. It's pretty lined up. Just want to make sure none of our electrical is caught underneath it. So if you had different length bolts, just remember where they went. And it looks like these are coated with something, but the manual doesn't say anything about recoating with a sealant or any kind of Loctite. So I'm just gonna leave them. I just wiped them off really good. We're just gonna put these in. Get them started by hand at first. We can put in our long ones. I'm just gonna get the manifold centered so the bolts look centered in their holes. So first we'll snug them up, then we'll torque them down. The torque is not very much. Kind of surprising how little it is. So just snug. We'll do a kind of a crisscross pattern. Now our 10 millimeters. So I have you at the computer so you can see the tightening sequence. Stage 1, 44 inch-pounds. Stage 2, 89 inch-pounds. And that's all it's calling for. Then we have the sequence here. Hopefully you can read that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of a crisscross pattern starting from the inside, working our way out. All right, let's go apply that to the vehicle. Now we'll start with this 8 millimeter bolt, 44 inch-pounds. Come over here. Then we'll swap over to the 10 mil. Okay, that's our first pass. We'll do the exact same thing on the second pass. And I think if you get it just a little out of order, that's okay. The main concept is to start in the middle and work our way out. Kind of a crisscross pattern as we do that. The next pass is 89 inch-pounds. Nice, got it all torqued. Another repair of opportunity would be our valve cover gasket. Since it's wide open, it'd be really easy to do this back one and this front one. Now let's start over here. We'll put our coolant stuff back on and then our fuel rail. Let's start with this lower hose first. Get our harness up and over. Put our hose on. Put our clamp on. We'll try to put our clamp in the same place it came off, if at all possible. Make sure the clamp is engaged. Now we have these. For this, because there's an O-ring inside, I'm gonna lubricate our pipe here. I'm gonna take just a little bit of silicone paste or dielectric grease. I'm just gonna coat this right here. That way that O-ring slides on really nice. We don't accidentally rip anything. It should just slide and click. There we go. Tug on it. Make sure it's not gonna pop off under pressure. Nice. Now on that other hose, this was left behind on that pipe. So I went ahead and took it off. We're gonna feed it in the hose first. We're just gonna put it right in the hose, like that. And then do the same thing, lubricate that pipe. And slide this whole thing on. There we go, pull on it, nice. Well, our coolant stuff is back in. Now on our fuel rail, let's tip this over. Just gotta be careful with this pipe. There we go. Okay, let me show you real quick. So on our injectors, we have the option to replace these O-rings. Just inspect yours. If they look like they could be replaced, go ahead. Now is the prime opportunity. But at the very least, make sure they're good and clean. There you go. Do that to the other side. Now, whether you're reusing your old O-rings or replacing them, we want to apply a little bit of dielectric grease on our O-rings. For a similar reason, we did it on the coolant hoses. We're gonna do it here so it slides in nice and smooth and we don't damage our O-rings. Okay, do that to the other side. We'll just lay our fuel rail over. Let's see, go under the EGR. There we go. Make sure they all fall in their hole. Good, and then we'll just push them till we feel them seat in. Here we go, that's it. Put in our 4 bolts. And these are just snug. I don't have a torque spec. We don't want to over tighten them, just enough. Plug in our little motor over here. And then we have this pipe for our coolant. We're gonna put a new O-ring on that. Let's do that real quick. I think I found the right size. You can get an O-ring kit from Harbor Freight or off Amazon. They're not very much. Let me get the dielectric grease. We're gonna do the same thing. Just the lubricant. Slide that in. Put the bolts in. And then the same thing. I don't have a torque spec, so just use your judgment. I think that's it for our lower manifold. Plug this back in. Now we can work on our upper manifold or our plenum. We just want to wipe off our mating surface. I'm going to do that on all of these. Well, on our manifold, let me just set this here. Let me re-angle the camera real quick. With a little pick, these gaskets come out pretty easy. Throw on our new ones, there's a little protrusion on them. They go in a little notch. And there is a top and a bottom, so just follow the shape of the manifold. I'll just take a little dielectric grease or silicone paste as a lubricant. I like doing this just so it slides on and it seats as we tighten it down. It doesn't pinch the gasket or squish it in a weird way. This allows it to slide as needed. But this step isn't necessary if you don't have dielectric grease or silicone paste. Not a big deal. Flip it over and just put on nice and easy. I think coming out, we just had to worry about our EGR stuff. Just maneuver this. So it was just our EGR was kind of fighting us a little, but I think we're set in. Some of these hands started. Something's still a little off. Look around, see if I can spot it. It's that electrical harness here. It has to go up and over the manifold. I think that's what's holding us up. So on this side, we'll just bring it up. There we go. Then on this side, it has to go up and over this hose for a brake booster. There. There we go. That was it. Yeah, much better. Okay, get them hand started. Snug them down. Let me show you the sequence on the computer. This is our upper manifold, and it's gonna be the same torque sequence. First step, 3.7 foot-pounds, which is at 44 inch-pounds, and then 7.4 foot-pounds, which is at 89 inch-pounds. So same thing as the lower. Our initial pass. Then back around for 89 inch-pounds. We can start on this side. We got this we can just put back on its holder. Should slide on, lock in place. We got some hoses. Just trying to get those clamps in the same spot if possible. Here we have our vacuum hose. I took that out completely. It was just kind of in the way, so hopefully it'll just slide back here. There we go, just slide it under the manifold. Retrieve it on the other side. Plug this in. And then that's our PCV. That goes on like that. And you should just push it on and it'll click. Just like that. And click, buddy, click. Boom. Our retainers can go back on. This we broke off. So let's go ahead and zip tie it. Let's put a zip tie through the manifold. Cut off the excess. I think the last thing we have for this side is this. That slides on. Not 100% necessary, but I liked it out. It wasn't too hard to remove. Bring our wires over the manifold. This harness will just plug in, and then we have it routed back in this little holder here. Get them lined up. Give them a little slack so they don't rub on anything. You'll run them through here. Lock that down. Lock this down. So the number 1, or the one closest to the serpentine belt, did have one of these on it. So this just slips over. Kind of hard to get it, but once you get it started, and the rest of it kind of slips on. There we go. This is just to protect this wire from rubbing on that bracket for our dipstick. There, just like that. Aim you down a little more. We're gonna put a little dielectric grease in the tips. This is just a lubricant. It doesn't help electricity flow, just so it slips on and off the spark plug. Squish it, and just put them on. And we also have it here in the front. I'm gonna undo this little bracket down here, and I'm just gonna pull up the slack. I'm gonna kind of split the slack. We can do that kind of down the line too. Let's bring it back. Something like that. The most important thing is you don't want your wires rubbing on anything. So however you route it, just want to keep that in mind. All right, I like it. Working our way over, we got this hose we can plug in. Should just snap in. Tug on it, make sure it's locked. You got this, can go under, around. It plugs in to our EGR. This hose up here, kind of a weird double clamp. Very interesting design. Plug in our throttle body. Got these plugs. This one goes up here. This one goes here. Do our throttle cables. So this, just hook it around and snap it. And then we can put it in place here. It's keyed so it only goes in one way. Push it till it locks. Pull back, nice and solid. This one here, that little nub, we'll bring this back. Put the nub in the slot. Route it like that. And this is not keyed, but it just goes on till it snaps. Tug on it. That's pretty much it. Let's put our air box back on. Replace the filter if it's time. There, make sure the bottom locks in. Snap these. This hose here on this side, just push it in, has that green lock, but we can just slide it on. It should snap. Maybe because of the rubber, it's not snapping, so undo that green tab and slide it on. And then this hose underneath here, put that on. And last but not least, we have our mass airflow sensor. Plug that in. Then the red lock, push it in. Wow, that went together really quick. Let me grab my flashlight, look around. I think we just have the EGR left, but let me just make sure nothing's unplugged. Everything over here. Yeah, so just our EGR. We got this little gasket we're gonna slip in. So we'll slide this back, slip in our gasket. This might take a little finesse and wiggling. If we can get one there, okay. So putting it in from the bottom, that was good. If we can just get one in, oh, that lines up over here, then getting the other one in will be easier. Yeah, got that started. Nice. Now it's just about lining up the other gasket side. That hole lined up. Oh, that wasn't too bad at all. Don't have a torque spec, but just good and snug. Feels good. Put our negative battery cable back on. I think I forgot to mention that at the beginning, but disconnect it because we're dealing with fuel, possible fuel spillage. So having this disconnected is a good idea. Moment of truth, let's start it up. And cycle the key a couple of times. Get that fuel rail pumped up. I know one thing we forgot. We gotta plug the ignition coil back in. All right, let's try it again. There we go, sounds good. Make sure there's no misfires. Now we'll turn it off. Now we're just gonna take our flashlight around the injectors, make sure nothing is leaking. And it looks good. The very last thing we want to do is do an oil change and also fill it up with coolant. Once we've done the oil change, fill it up with coolant, then we can run through a bleed procedure. Let me take you to the computer so you can see what that looks like. Here's a bleed procedure. Hopefully you can see that. For our cowl, we want to put the driver's side in first because of our washer motor. Needs to slide under. Plug it in real quick. Slide it out just a little. Get that plug. Just kind of feel for it. Okay, now drop it in over here. It should kind of just fall into place. There. Short ones go on the sides. Long ones go in the middle. You can reach underneath if you need to get that lined up. Just good and snug. Be sure to plug in our washer fluid hose over here. Then we can put on our upper piece. Slide this on. We have these washer fluid hoses. Find out where they go. There, right there. And now it snaps into place. Put in our clips. Close the hood to put on our wipers. The one with the little cap is for the passenger. Just make sure it goes in the right spot. Put the nut on. We'll hold it while we tighten it down. Looks like the hood has to be open for the driver's side. Nice, that's it. We can run our wipers and just make sure they do what they need to. Adjust them as needed. Good job, we're done. All right, there you go. That's how you can replace the lower intake manifold on one of these Freestars. All in all, not too bad. Just take your time, make sure you have a nice clean working surface. You'll do a good job. Thanks for watching. I'll have links in the description for all the parts and tools used. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to post down below. Hope your repair goes well. See you on the next one.